It's a new week. It's currently Tuesday because I had some stuff to do yesterday. I'm starting the reading vlog today, and I have two books on my TBR for this video, which are books that I've been meaning to read for like months, literally months, and they're really hyped booktok books. So let's get into the TBR for this. The first book that I've been meaning to read for ages, and it's a new author that I've been wanting to check out, is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. So obviously this book is super hyped on TikTok, and I've heard good and bad things about it. Apparently there's a lot of letters to Ellen DeGeneres, which I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, I've heard that some people really love it, but I've also heard like it's overhyped. So I really wanted to read this. I actually bought this months ago, maybe back in June or July. There was one point where I was really into reading romance, and like especially contemporary romance, and I thought I would get around to it, but I didn't. And now I'm like, you know what, it feels like the time to pick this up, and I'm really hoping it's good because I've heard good things about Colleen Hoover. I don't really know much about this book. From what I can gather based on videos and TikToks that I've watched, is that it's about a girl named Lily, and she's currently in a relationship, and then she meets an old love, or one of her exes. I think it's her first love, and things continue on from there. So I'm hoping that it's as good as it's been hyped up to be, but you know, it's a hit or miss sometimes with romance, I think. Anyways, the second book is another really hyped book that everyone says it's amazing. I haven't heard one bad thing about this book, and it's The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I actually read I think the first chapter. I got a sample on my Kindle a while ago, and it sounded really interesting. So what this book is about is Evelyn Hugo is this Hollywood starlet, and she used to be really popular, and she still is, but she's finally decided that she wants to write a biography. But she decided to pick this new reporter no one really knows about and is new to the industry, and she personally asks for her to come to her house and do an interview. So this book, I think, pretty much details Evelyn Hugo's life, and I've heard that it's split up pretty much into each husband of Evelyn Hugo. And yeah, I've heard this is really good, and there's some sapphic romance in it as well, which I'm really excited for, because, you know, we love a good queer romance. And yeah, excited to get into this. So that is my TBR for this week, and I'll update you when I read a little bit of It Ends With Us. So I'm currently on page 39 of It Ends With Us, and I just wanted to update because I've heard people say that it's kind of weird how Lily writes a lot of letters to Ellen DeGeneres, which originally when I heard that, I did think it was kind of weird, but now that I'm reading the actual book, I kind of understand, because she's using it as a diary, but sometimes, you know, you feel a little silly saying like, dear diary, blah, 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 blah. So she's using Ellen as a person to talk to, and also from what I can gather, she doesn't have that many friends, so it's kind of like someone that she can chat to. So I don't think it's that weird that she has letters to Ellen DeGeneres. I don't know, but I just skip over the parts where she's like, you should do this with your show, or I watch this. I just skip over that part and read it as if she's writing in her diary, and I think it's really interesting. Also, so I've met the two love interests. It's kind of a dual timeline where, with Lily's perspective now, we're meeting Ryle, and then through her diary entries or letters, we're meeting Atlas. I don't really know much about Atlas. Ryle seems pretty nice. Yeah. So I don't know where this is gonna go. Obviously, I'm only on page 39, so it's pretty early on. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Just wanted to update about what my thoughts on her writing letters to Ellen DeGeneres. Okay guys, so update on It Ends With Us. I'm on page 124, I think. And, you know, it's pretty good so far. It's definitely an easy read and a pretty quick read. But I'm currently not being very surprised by it. It's a pretty average love story to me. I mean, the main character, Lily, is definitely a bit of a pick-me girl. Like,
oh, my name's Lily Bloom. Oh my god, I hate my name.
Like that type. And it's, yeah, bit of a pick-me, but you know, this was published in 2016. The very much like the I'm not like other girls trend time. But other than that, I don't know. The only thing I'm really enjoying about it is the fact that the reader is interested in knowing what happened with Lily and Atlas. Like, that's all I'm really interested in. I don't really care about Ryle. I don't really care about what's happening with Lily and stuff. I would be interested to find out, like, more about her home situation and her relationship with her mother. Like, that stuff I'm interested in, but the actual relationship part, I'm like, not that interested right now. It's, as I said, a fast read. Hopefully by tomorrow I'll be able to finish it because I think it's like about a 400-page book, and I'm already over 100 pages in, so it should be easy to finish it by tomorrow. So yeah, that's my update. Okay, so I've just finished It Ends With Us, and you know what? I get the hype. I get why people like this book so much and why it's so loved by people. But personally, you know, it's kind of average. The experiences that are explored in this book are experiences that I personally can't relate to and haven't been through. So I can't really speak on the accuracy of that portrayal. I do know that it's based on Colleen Hoover's mother's own experience with an abusive relationship, and she takes inspiration from that. One of the scenes is literally taken directly from her mother's own experience. Other than that, though, I think there was one thing that I wasn't really happy with, and that was, whilst we get to know Lily's relationship with Atlas through her letters to Ellen, she writes another one in the present timeline of the book, and it seems like a shortcut way of telling the reader exactly how Lily feels without actually showing it, and it kind of, I don't know, it seems like a shortcut around the whole show not tell. And also, some of the writing does get a little bit tedious, I want to say. There were definitely parts where I skim read, especially in the letters. There's chunks in the letters where it's literally just Lily talking about what she liked on Ellen's show and stuff like that, and I just skipped completely past that. What I did really like was how Colleen Hoover looked at a woman in an abusive relationship and the reasons that you might see a woman go back to an abuser, because I think that's something in today's society that we still look down on women for. We're like, oh, but if he's so abusive, why would you go back to him? Or obviously it can be the other way around. But yeah, she really shows the other perspective of that, which I really liked. But overall, I think this was a 3-star read for me. I mean, there's nothing in it that I found particularly amazing, and honestly, I'd probably forget this story pretty quickly. But I will say, it's a fast read, it's an easy read, and it's entertaining. So if you're looking for something to pick up and you like contemporary romance and that kind of stuff, I would recommend. Now I'm going to start reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I'll update you on that later. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going out to the city today, but before I left, I wanted to update you guys on my reading of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So, I'm on page 67 and not that far into it, but I'm liking it so far. One of my favorite things about the book right now is the fact that it includes these newspaper article clippings or like magazine article clippings. And I think it really adds to the uniqueness of this type of story. I've never really heard of another book that does something like this, like looks at a person's life in this way, where I'm sure there are because there are so many books out there. This is the first one that I've personally heard of, and I am really liking it. It is a bit difficult at times for me to stay interested, mainly because I'm a fantasy reader and I'm used to there being a lot of action and a lot of plot. But this mainly is just talking about Evelyn Hugo's life, which is interesting, but I need to be in a specific mood to read it. But other than that, I think this might take me a bit longer to get through. All in all, it's about 380 pages, but I think this will take me a little bit longer because the text is kind of small on the page, so there's quite a lot in here. I think I'll probably be able to finish it by tomorrow. Other than that, there's not much to say. I am enjoying it so far. I like that apart from Evelyn Hugo's life, we're also getting a look into the interviewer's life, which her name is Monique Grant, and I like that she has some depth to it because I think sometimes it would have just been easy to ignore Monique's personal life and really just focus on Evelyn Hugo. But I think Taylor Jenkins Reid has done that really well. I think there are sections later on in the book that will engage me more and be more shocking, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I'm excited to keep reading this. I just wanted to update you guys before I left for the city because I'm not going to be filming outside when I'm alone because I'm awkward like that. So yeah. Hey guys, so it's been a few days, but let's talk about The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because this book, I didn't expect it, but this is 5 out of 5 stars. I'm sorry if you can hear the wind right now and stuff, but I mean, Sydney's going through a stormy period, to say the least, so you can probably hear some heavy wind in the background. But anyways, this book, you wouldn't expect it. Well, maybe you would, but I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did because personally, as I mentioned before, I'm definitely more of a fantasy reader and I definitely enjoy more plot-based novels. However, this book, there is nothing wrong with it. I teared up in the final parts. I swear to God, I teared up like maybe 4 or 5 times. Like, it manages to wrench some emotions out of you that you don't think it would. So with the writing, I actually really enjoyed this. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid was really good at making Evelyn Hugo into a morally grey character. Like, she is definitely one of those people where you can see the reason in her actions, but there are some actions where you can't tell whether it's right or wrong. You wouldn't be able to say whether it was right or wrong to do what she did. And she definitely had reasons for it. And I do like how she shaped Evelyn to be this kind of someone who takes responsibility for her actions. There are some, but Harry in this book, if you've read this, you know, Harry, oh my God. I love him so much. Not in that way, but he's definitely my favorite character in this book. Just the sweetest person ever. Yeah. Anyways, 5 out of 5 stars. Literally, I have nothing to say other than this was amazing and you should definitely give it a read. It's one of those 5 out of 5 stars for me where I wouldn't say I was hooked the entire time. I wouldn't say that I really wanted to read it all the time. There were definitely moments, it took me quite a few days to read and for only a 400-page book, but there were a few moments where I was really I didn't feel like picking it up, mainly because, like I said, I'm definitely a fantasy reader, and this is very much contemporary, and moreover, it's a recount of Evelyn Hugo's life, basically, or her whole stardom. And yeah, sometimes that just didn't appeal to me, but when I picked it up, it was really difficult to put down once you started reading, because you're reading about this celebrity, albeit a made-up celebrity, but still, you're reading about this starlet who won an Oscar, and her life is crazy. Like, it's insane. It's a love story, and it's an exploration into morals, and I think it just has everything that you could ever want, except for a little bit of fantasy. But, you know, yeah, this is definitely, I get the hype on booktok about this when everyone's like, you gotta read this. Yeah, you have to read this. Even if you don't love it, I think you can admire the author's ability to really shape a character. And by the end of it, you find yourself caring about Evelyn Hugo so much more than you would have expected to. Like, when I first went into it, I was like, cool, she's this Hollywood celebrity, this starlet. Am I really going to connect with her in any way? But then, even though I don't personally connect to her experiences, there are parts of it where I was like, yeah, what she did was completely understandable. Horrible, maybe, but her reasoning, the reasons behind it is understandable, in my opinion. And I think there's a great exploration into not feminism, but the role of women in Hollywood. And this story, her recount, began in the 50s, I want to say. And I think the book does a really good job of adding in the important events that pertain to Evelyn Hugo's story. But the amount of real life content that is in this book really makes it seem real. Like, I watched a reading vlog of someone else reading this. I can't remember who right now. But she also said that Evelyn Hugo just seemed like a real person. Like, when she was reading, she just wanted to pick her phone up and search up who Evelyn Hugo was. Now, I didn't have that experience, but this definitely does read like a biography. The way that Evelyn Hugo is shaped, the way that she speaks, is so well crafted that she does seem like a real person. And yeah, anyways, 5 out of 5 stars. booktok did well on this one. To wrap up, in this vlog, I read It Ends With Us and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I gave It Ends With Us 3 stars and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo 5 stars. So, if you've read these books, let me know what you think down in the comments. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and press the subscribe button. The subscribe button is not up there. Press the subscribe button. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!